Hi, I'm C.C. Péan, and this is Reclaiming Your Health.
Hello, everyone, and greetings from New Orleans, Louisiana. New Orleans, baby. How are you all doing? It's so good to be back with you on this Tuesday evening. I have missed you all. Of course, I was here live last week, but I have missed doing this. I have missed sharing recipes with you and answering questions, etc. Last week we had Melissa Mackey and Yolande Melbourne. They were in studio and we had a great conversation about our gochujang lemongrass meatloaf. I wonder if any of you have made that. Super simple, super delicious. And it's kind of a journey through the plant-based world of food. I love to bring in different cultural flavors. So last week we were in Asia with the gochujang from Korea and the lemongrass. And today we are going to be in North Africa, like the Morocco area. We're going to do some delicious squash. Actually, it's kind of like a fusion dish because we are using, the star of today's dish is kabocha. And kabocha is actually a squash that can be found all over the place. It is used largely in Asia. It is used in the West Indies. They call it pumpkin. They don't call it squash. And I really don't know the difference between a pumpkin and a squash. Maybe somebody can help me out with that. But this is so delicious. Stan was actually telling me that his in-laws grow this in their backyard. And if I lived in California, I would be over there and I would be getting the squash because it is so incredibly versatile. It can be used in a sweet preparation. It can be used in a savory preparation. It can be used in tonight's preparation, which is a little savory and sweet. And you know I'm greedy, so I like tasting things that are sweet and salty and savory and spicy and everything at one time. So that's what we're going to do with this squash tonight. The greatest challenge of this squash is cutting it. That's the greatest challenge. But it's kind of like, you know, the question, how do you eat an elephant? Bite by bite. And that's how we're going to cut this piece by piece. I guess eating an elephant isn't appropriate because this is a vegan cooking show, but you guys get what I'm talking about. So tonight's dish, we're incorporating our kabocha squash, and then we're going to put some tahini, some delicious rich tahini on it. We're going to toss some nice pistachio meat on top of it. We've got some pomegranate arrows that are going to go on there, and it's all going to be on a bed of spicy arugula. So this is a dish that is going to be full of all kinds of flavor, and it's so incredibly beautifully appealing to the eyes as well. This is a great dish to have as the centerpiece of your Thanksgiving table. It's got all those beautiful Thanksgiving colors. It's delicious year-round and beautiful year-round. But if you're trying to think of a different way to incorporate squash or pumpkin into your Thanksgiving meal, this would be a great way. So let's get started. So I showed you all what we have. This is super, super simple, super easy. So tonight we're going to, we've got our tahini, we've got a little bit of salt and pepper, we've got some agave here. You can use honey. I know a lot of vegans don't use honey, so you don't have to, but you can use agave. And what else do we have? I have some fresh garlic here on the plate. I've got some lemon. Let's see if I can you do it here? Yeah, some garlic and some lemon. And we're just gonna get started. So the first thing I do now, there are people that have done things like just put this whole pumpkin in the oven at 350 for like 10, 15 minutes, and it softens up a little bit so you can cut through the skin. I don't do that. I just make sure that I have a really sharp knife, and I just go like this. And you kind of just work your way through it. just like that. It's really not that hard, but you have to have a sharp knife. That is key. But this is so beautiful. Look at this, is so rich in beta carotene. This is great for your heart health. It's antioxidant rich. This is a beautiful and tasty dish that is incredibly healthy. We're gonna have a minimal amount of oil in here. So I am going to prepare this. So the first thing we have to do is we've got to get rid of these seeds. So I'm just going to take a spoon and you just kind of go right under the seed and it just comes out. It's super easy to come out. Look at that. It comes out in one bunch. Can you see that? It comes out in one bunch. Okay, so I'm going to dump that and I'm going to do it again so you all can see how easy it is. And again, we're doing this elephant bit by bit, so I'm going to cut it in half. And I'm going to take out this next amount of seed. And if you can do the front camera, you all will see. So I take the spoon, I go right under here, and all of that seed comes out. Now, I know people toast these seeds. You can do that with this. I'm not doing that with it, but you can. So you see how clean that came out? Just that simple. All right, so I'm going to save this piece. I don't need to do all of that. And then let me show you how I then get rid of the skin. Okay, so I put it on its side, and with this sharp knife, I just go like that. Be careful when you do it. You just kind of want to slide down the side of it because you're really just trying to get that green off. You don't want to cut off a whole bunch of that, the actual flesh. Now, there are people that I know that make this using organic kabocha. They don't even peel it. You just wash it and scrub it down really well. Because believe it or not, there's some great nutrients in the skin for this. So if you, by chance, are able to find an organic kabocha squash, or you grow them like Stan's family does, you can forego this part too. So you see how I'm just getting that skin off, kind of shaving it off. Now I know people that use a vegetable peeler as well. I haven't had much luck with that, but you are welcome to try that. But whatever you do, make sure this knife is away from you because this squash is a little slippery, so you see how it can kind of take off on its own there. All right, so we've got one. There are a few little green spots on here, but that's okay. It's not going to hurt you. We're going to dump that. And then I'm going to go for the second piece. I'm just going to get that skin off. Just take your time. There's no rush. See how that just slipped just now? That's why you need to make sure you do not do this in your hand. I know a lot of people have this thing where they pick up a piece of fruit or a vegetable and they try to cut it in their hand or peel in your hand. Do not do that. Do this on a cutting board and make sure that knife is going away from you. All right, we're almost done. Now, in this recipe, I say you can use a full medium one, and what I've cut is the equivalent of about a medium kabocha squash. They come in they can get really big. Okay, there we go. I've gotten all of that in the garbage. And now we're going to cut it up. So since I've done that, I'm just going to go down like so. Okay, I'm going to do this one. We're cutting like probably about an inch wide pieces. And then we're going to go in and cut those 1 inch thick slices into about 2 inch pieces. Voila, very simple. Now, don't try to pile these up and do them because, like I said, this is slippery. You don't want to have any problems. You want to be safe. So I just go through and I cut them. And I'm going to toss them in my bowl. Don't worry about the fact that these aren't perfect cuts because after we dress them up with our tahini and our pistachio and our pomegranate, it's a beautiful dish. Usually I kind of, you know me, I like to have stuff looking pretty perfect and cut pretty perfect, but this is one of those dishes where you don't have to worry about that. Okay, we're about halfway done. Any questions about the kabocha? Or any questions about anything? Any questions, anyone? Yeah, so this dish is reminiscent of some of the flavors of this dish. The primary flavors of this dish are very North African. All right, so we've got that all cut up. This beautiful bowl of squash. And look how simple this is going to be to pull this all together. Now, I'm simply going to use a little bit of avocado oil. You can use olive oil as well if you want to toss it. I'm going to use some salt and pepper. Something that you could do to take this to the next level is you could use some granulated garlic or garlic powder. You could do that. You could even use some fresh garlic. So this is we're going to do about a tablespoon to a tablespoon and a half of oil. You just want to have enough on here to coat the squash. And I'm going to do 3 turns of this salt and do a couple turns of this pepper. Now, something else you could do if you want to kind of work on that sweetness a little bit more, you could even use some cinnamon. You could sprinkle cinnamon on this. All right, so now we have got our pumpkin or squash cut up. We've got a little bit of olive oil on there. We've got salt and pepper. And I'm just going to toss this. Just so that oil and salt and pepper coats that squash. And there you go. I'm going to put it on a cookie sheet that has been lined with parchment paper. And that is going to go in the oven. The oven is set at 350. This is going to bake for about 40 to 45 minutes, depending on the size of your squash. You're going to need to check on it and see how it's doing, but probably about 40 to 45 minutes. That's going in there. And now we're going to get started on our yummy tahini sauce. So I love tahini. It's a great seed butter to work with. We're using about a 1/4 cup. And this is also great for salad dressing, so you don't have to use it all. I like to have enough so I can play around with it, but you're not going to use all of this. So we've got that in the bowl. Now I'm going to add some minced garlic to that. Depending on how much garlic you like, you could add a little more. I'm going to actually do 2 cloves. Okay, we've got that done. Now I'm going to add a little lemon. Be careful not to get the seeds in there. I said a juice from 1 lemon. We're probably going to use juice from like half a lemon. Again, this depends on how tangy you want your dressing and how juicy your lemons are. You can also use lime if you want to do something a little different that actually kind of plays into the North African and Mediterranean flavors. You could also use orange. You could also use orange. Orange and orange blossom are really big in that culture. All right, so I'm just gonna mix this together a little bit. I am gonna add a little bit of salt to this. We're gonna do 4 turns of salt here. We'll continue to mix it up. I'm gonna add about a tablespoon of agave. Continue to mix this up. You can see what it looks like. It's a little thick still. But what I'm gonna do is I'm going to add a little bit of water. If you had a whisk, that would really come in handy right now. I don't have one, so I'm just gonna mix it up. My hand, and you can see that it has gone from kind of being stiff to having a bit of, see that? Still a little chunky, still a little thick. So I'm going to continue to stir, add a little bit more water. You add as much water or as little depending on how you want this to end up. Let's move this stuff out of the way. And of course, you know, we live in a world that is so many things are accessible that used to be difficult to get. Back in the day, you had to buy a pomegranate and take all the seeds out yourself. Now you can go to Trader Joe's, you can go to Sprouts, you can go to Whole Foods, and you can pick up a container of pomegranate seeds, which is what I did. All right, so I think our tahini sauce is ready. Now, of course, you can do this in a bullet if you want to, or a blender. You don't have to do it by hand. And again, it's about a 1/4 cup of tahini. We've got about a tablespoon of a sweetener in there. Just enough salt to taste. I would say about 2 tablespoons of lemon juice. And then water to thin. So let's see what this tastes like, if this is ready to go. That's delicioso, if I do say so myself. I'm gonna do 2 more twists of salt, and don't be concerned because that's probably a total of like a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. There's not much salt in here at all. All right, so we have put our kabocha squash in the oven, and with the magic of the digital world, it is ready. So let's take that out, and then we're going to plate this lovely dish. All right. So here is our beautiful baked kabocha squash. Now, there are many ways, I said, to prepare this squash. I sometimes take this squash and I'll cut it up just like this, and I'll put it in a pan with a little bit of water. And I'll cover it, I'll let it steam. That way, to me, gives it a particularly nutty flavor. And sometimes I like to do that. Other times, I don't want to have to tend to it, so I just put it in the oven. Because when you put it on the stove, you do have to tend to it. I put a little bit of water, probably like a 1/4 inch of water in there, and I cover it on like a medium heat. And when that water goes down, when it dries out, I check it. Sometimes I have to add a little more water, sometimes not. Then I'll hit it with a little bit of salt, a little bit of garlic powder, and a little bit of plant-based butter. It is so delicious and creamy. That's another way to make it. But today we've done it in the oven. So let's see. Oh yeah, this is ready. This is ready. It's got a really beautiful color to it. So let's plate. Let me move some things out the way. I love showing you all these dishes because I want you to know that there is a way to make delicious food that is not complicated and it doesn't take a lot of time, and beautiful food. I mean, this is like, again, we're eating the rainbow. So the bottom here, we've got this beautiful spicy baby arugula. If you're not an arugula fan, try spinach. You can try spinach. If you don't want to do spinach, you can do some really thinly sliced and massaged kale. You can do that as well. So we've got our bed of arugula. Now I'm going to put some of this squash on top. Beautiful kabocha squash. Look at these colors. So inviting. So inviting. And heart healthy, just good for you. All right. So the next thing we're going to do, we're going to drizzle our tahini. Can you all see this clearly? Let me see if I need to move things out of the way. Can you see this clearly? Let me move. Let's move this. That's better. There we go. Move this salt out the way. Beautiful. Can you see that? Is that not gorgeous? Now we're going to drizzle this tahini over it. As much or as little. Yummy. I am going to destroy this plate. There is our tahini. Next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to take some of these beautiful pomegranate seeds. Ah, isn't that gorgeous? So pretty. It's pretty. It's pretty and it's yummy. And then the last thing we're going to do is we're going to take this pistachio. Now, I could have chopped this up. I didn't. I left them. You could also do pine nuts on this if you want to. You could actually do any nut if you want to. But this is really hearkening to the North African and Mediterranean type of feel. Ladies and gentlemen, look at that. This is oven roasted kabocha squash with tahini, pomegranate seeds, and pistachio. And I just need to grab a fork so I can taste it and tell you how wonderful it is. Let's see. That is delicious. And it is truly an explosion of flavor. You've got your spicy arugula. You've got your, it is nutty. This preparation is also nutty. It has like there's a warm, sweet flavor to it. You've got the tahini, the creamy tahini, the bright pomegranate, and the crunchy and salty pistachio. Delicious. So easy. What takes the longest is like set it and forget it of putting the squash in the oven for about 45 minutes at 350. We've got a beautiful dish. Can you imagine this on a beautiful big platter with your greens under it? I mean, for that matter, you could put spring mix or butter lettuce could be at the bottom if you don't want to do that spicy arugula. This would be gorgeous. A gorgeous centerpiece with really unique and different flavors that are really accessible. Like I said, Trader Joe's, Sprouts, Whole Foods, get your pomegranates. Pistachios are available everywhere. Kabocha squash, for that matter, is available everywhere. Tahini is available everywhere. So this is our dish for this evening on Reclaiming Your Health. Thank you for joining me, and I look forward to seeing you all next week. Bye-bye.